So as most of you know, I'm a laughter yoga teacher. I lead a weekly laughter club here on the Greenbelt in the summer and here downstairs during the winter. Just leading groups in laughter for the health of it and as a public service to bring more joy and community, joy and levity into our community. I'm also doing what we call laughter life coaching, which is applying laughter in a one-on-one setting to bring you more into alignment with the life that you want to live, and using laughter to uncover the blocks that are between where you are and where you want to be. Just bringing more joy and levity and happiness into life. So these days, my whole life revolves around laughter. And so over the course of this process, I've gotten very curious about the process of laughter, how it works, what happens when we laugh, and how it is so powerful as a transformative tool. And I just want to share some of my thoughts with you this morning. I first heard about laughter yoga a couple of years ago when I was reading an article in a magazine about the science of laughter, what happens in the body when you laugh. And it mentioned that there was this class called laughter yoga in which people get together to laugh for the health of it without telling jokes or relying on humor or comedy. And there were people called laughter leaders who guide others in laughing for no reason. I'd never heard of such a thing, and it sounded a little strange, but I also knew that I had to do that. It just resonated with that, part of me that went, click, yep, that's for me. I'm a laughter leader, gotta do it. I don't know what that means, but here we go. So at the time, though, I was at home with my little boy, who was just a few months old, and I wasn't looking for an outlet to go and teach classes in the community. I was content being at home with him. So I put it on the back burner for a few months. And then last spring, circumstances in my life had begun to change where I realized, this period of life that is the chapter I could call stay-at-home mom is coming to an end, and it's time for me to return into the working world and make a living and figure out what I want to do with my life. So before I had my little boy, I'd been in the middle of a career change, and so I didn't have an existing job that was waiting for me to go back to. I was kind of at a crossroads where I could choose any direction I wanted to go. And so I thought, most people go back to work and just find a way of making money and pay the bills, and I just felt like I didn't want to just do that. There's got to be more. There's got to be more. What do I really want to do if I could do anything? I said, I don't know, but I know I want to do that laughter gig. So, I don't know where this will lead. I don't know if there's anything to it, if there's a way that it'll lead to me making a living, but I just know that that's my next step. I've got to follow my heart. And so I found a laughter yoga leader training program and went and signed up. And last summer started the process of becoming a laughter yoga leader, which means you laugh a lot. So over the course of my weekly courses last summer, I started laughing as a practice. Now this is not telling jokes and laughing. This is not watching funny movies and laughing. It's just choosing to laugh as an intentional practice for the health of it. And at first it sounds a little bit strange, but week after week, as I was laughing for no reason, I was noticing this lightness that was taking upon my body, just this feeling of lightheartedness, almost a physical sensation of lightness. I didn't know what it was. I hadn't looked into the science of how that works at all, but I could just sense it. It was a good thing too, because as I was doing my laughter as a practice to become a laughter leader, my situation at home was getting more and more and more and more stressful. And I was in that place of confusion and darkness where you just don't know what to do next. My home life was rocky, shall we say, and I was feeling really stuck in my marriage, not knowing what to do, not wanting to make a wrong decision, feeling stuck, like it wasn't the right place for me to be, but not knowing what to do next. And, being facing the prospect of possibly becoming a single mom, it was a big burden weighing on my shoulders. I didn't want to make the wrong choice, when there's another little boy involved. So it was kind of this paralysis that had taken over, and I just didn't know what to do. Fear of making a wrong decision, fear of taking the step into the unknown, not knowing what comes next. So thank goodness I was laughing as part of my class. What I discovered week after week is that the practice of laughter just gave me just a slight glimpse into a vague knowing that I was going to be okay, that the answers that I wanted were within me. I couldn't see them, but I had this vague sense of it. And so week after week, as it continued, finally, that clarity that I was seeking did emerge. And I woke up one morning after a laughter class, and I just knew deep in my heart, in every cell in my body, exactly what I needed to do, exactly what the next step was. That I know that this is a hard decision, but I'm finally clear. And the lightness that came from that was indescribable. Just that knowing who you are, knowing what's important to you, and beginning to take the steps to bring your life into alignment with that was a really powerful feeling. So I knew it was time to file for divorce. Ha 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 ha. Yikes. I don't know what this is going to lead to, but I know this is what I have to do. So in the meantime, I went down to Albuquerque to do my laughter yoga teacher training, which is a 5-day intensive program where we laughed every day with the man who founded laughter yoga, and just really kind of elevated the practice of daily laughter to new heights. When I came back from that week of laughing, just laughing every day for an extended period like that had created this sense of physical euphoria in my body that was just like walking on air. I felt like I could fly. I felt like I could do anything. There were no limits. There was nothing in my way. Everything was going to be okay. Now, the logical mind, of course, is saying, what are you doing? How's this going to work? Wanting to know what's next and having a plan and having certainty. But the laughter had elevated me to this place where it doesn't matter. It's fine. Just take a step. Day by day, you're fine. You're fine. So I came back and started a laughter club here in Idaho Falls and got a bunch of other people to come and laugh with me so we could start spreading the joy. And since then, laughter's been at least a weekly practice as I lead my weekly laughter club, and a daily practice as well, as I just keep laughing for no reason because I know the power that it has to keep me in alignment with who I really am and what's important to me, and knowing what to do next, even if I can't see the whole big picture. So now I've gotten to this place where I realize, at first I thought laughter was taking me to an altered state of consciousness, because that's what it felt like. There's normal reality, and then when I laughed, I'd get up into this elevated plane where everything's fine. There's only joy here. There's only freedom. Failure is an illusion, And then after a while I realized, that is the ultimate reality. And what we think of as normal is the altered state of consciousness. That is the illusion. That is the clouds that we're all immersed in without realizing it. And laughter is what I call the elevator that takes us up out of that plane of consciousness into another dimension where we can see clearly and be free from our own limitations and our beliefs and our emotions and our suffering. And there's just this piercing through the veil of illusion into clarity, freedom, lightness, and joy. So over the past year, as I've lived this process, now I've gotten to the point where I'm very curious to see if this is something that's replicable. Can I teach this to others? Can I share this with others? Can I create a step-by-step program in which we can all laugh our way to joyful, fulfilled, freedom lives? Just feeling lightness of being, free from our illusions of suffering, free from all the voices that plagued us. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm in the process of creating programs that outline step-by-step methods for each one of us to walk this path. So if I could do it, anybody can. I'm also doing one-on-one coaching where I'm working with people, taking specific challenges in our lives and applying laughter, directly focused, intentional laughter, to shift our perception and raise our consciousness into a higher level. So in all of that, I've gotten very curious about the mechanisms by which laughter works. So we can look at the physical act of laughing. When we laugh, we're engaging our diaphragm muscle. It's the muscle that runs right below our rib cage. And when we laugh, it's essentially a spasm of the diaphragm muscle. It convulses rapidly like a spasm. And what that does is shakes up all your internal organs. Now your internal organs are where our emotions are housed. So as you're moving your diaphragm, it's shaking up everything within there, just like loosening up the structures, the walls, everything within your abdomen, within your torso. And this is not happening just on a physical level, but emotionally and energetically as well. So if you would just join me for a second, put your hands on your stomach, right below your rib cage where your diaphragm muscle goes. And just practice using your abdominal muscles to exhale forcefully and say the word ha, and just feel how that shifts things up. Ha, 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 ha. All right, so we just laughed for absolutely no reason, but that started shifting things around physically, emotionally, energetically. It's really that simple. It's easier with a group, of course, because laughter is contagious. Okay, so we also know that in your body when you laugh, your heart, your brain, all of the endocrine glands in your body start producing hormones. I call this the joy cocktail of happy hormones. So these hormones, when they're coursing through your veins, are incompatible with the stress hormones in our body. And so when you engage in laughter, you're immediately and instantly decreasing the levels of stress hormones in your body and raising the physiological levels of happy hormones. So we don't have to wait to feel good first before we laugh. We laugh first, and it changes our body physiology so that we feel good. It's very simple. Now, energetically, this is a big shift in our bodies when we laughed. And we use this language all the time. We talk about lightening up or getting into good vibes, vibrations, whatever. As it turns out, our bodies are simply vortexes of energy. We are just congealed forms of energy that are vibrating at a particular frequency. We look and we feel solid for a number of physiological reasons, but really we're made of atoms. And what are atoms but mostly empty space? And each of the atoms is vibrating at a frequency that sends out signals into the universe. So when you look at yourself and realize you're mostly empty space, what are you? How does that work? You don't have to understand the mechanisms of what or how, but just the awareness that we're getting brought to with our understanding of quantum physics in this modern era allows us to expand our perception to understand that we are energetic beings and we vibrate at particular frequencies. And there's a frequency of health and a vibrational frequency of disease. These have all been documented and measured with the right equipment. It just translates into a frequency of hertz, megahertz frequency. And so we've been able to measure the acoustics of laughter sounds and get the frequency of that as well. So the point is, when we laugh, there's this vibrational frequency of laughter that's a very high frequency. And so we're essentially bathing all of our cells with this high vibration, which brings us into alignment with health and happiness and positive states of mind. Now, another way of talking about the energy of laughter, you could also say that we're raising our level of consciousness. Now, it was Albert Einstein that said You can't solve a problem from the same level of consciousness that it was created. So how do you get to a different level of consciousness? Typically when we have a problem or a challenging situation in our life, we're looking at it, we're studying it, we're analyzing it, thinking, how did we get here? How did this come into being? What's wrong? How did I end up in this situation, and how can I fix it? And the more we stare at it and we study it, we're like hamsters on a wheel, just spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning, making a lot of movement in our mind, but we're not actually making any progress. So how can you get to a different level of consciousness in which you can see the solution more clearly? Well, I call it taking the laughter elevator. Ha 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 ha, ding! Now, it doesn't even have to start as genuine side-splitting belly laughter. There's something about the decision to make laughter sounds or say ha 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 that starts to shift your awareness and opens up your perception into a more spaciousness where you can see things differently. So let's take an example. A very common one for most people is the topic of finances. So if we say something like, my finances, our finances are a very, very serious problem. Ha 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 ha. Let's try it all together. Let's say it with me. Our finances are a very, very serious problem. Ha ha ha. My finances are a total wreck. Tee-hee, tee-hee, tee-hee. Now that didn't shift a thing about our finances, but it did shift the spaciousness in which we can see our finances. You can feel it relaxes our body. It opens up to a different flow. So applying that to personal life, when I look back at my own experience, you can feel the difference between this type of question in the physical state of anxiety or despair or frustration when I would say, oh, what am I doing with my life? What am I doing with my life? What am I doing with my life? You can feel the energy behind that as compared to, what am I doing with my life? 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 Was there a problem? I seem to recall thinking there was a problem. I've forgotten what it was. I don't know. So it's laughter-induced amnesia in a way. So anyway, the point is, after a while, you start practicing this just as a choice to say, I'm willing to look at my life in a different way. Ha 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 ha. Okay? And as you practice that, pretty soon it builds up your laughter muscles and becomes more close to the surface, more readily accessible. And so pretty soon you start to find that there's a lot of things about your own life that are genuinely funny, that you have this increased ability to laugh at yourself. And it's laughing at yourself that's really the secret to a happy life, I've decided. If you ask centenarians, people who live to be 100 years old, what the secret is to a long, happy life, almost all of them will say, well, it's that sense of humor, that ability to laugh at yourself, to not take life so seriously. Because what I've found is the truth in that proverb that says, blessed are those who can laugh at themselves, for they shall never cease to be amused. And it's true. Now I'm at the point where I find myself to be an endless source of entertainment because life gets to be one big joke, So let's practice this for a moment, if you're willing. comfortable, just practice building your laughter muscles, pointing at yourself, giving yourself a laugh. Ha 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 You can feel, there may not be anything funny in there, but then after a while it's all funny. It's all just a big cosmic joke, We take it way too seriously, and it's okay. So anyway, laughter is a tool that I use to essentially begin looking at life through a different set of filters. Sometimes I call it putting on my laughter goggles. What can I see differently through my laughter goggles that I couldn't see before when I was looking without laughter? You've got stress, you've got tension, you've got challenges. Laughter doesn't make the issue go away, but it sure changes how you can approach it and the feeling you can have in your body as you experience life. And that is really what's meant by inner peace. It's not finding peace in our external circumstances and surroundings. It's not making everything smooth and comfortable. It's about finding that part of you, that inner compass within, that can guide you through the storm. That as the winds of life change, you can adjust your sails and go with the flow. You're not bowled over by the emotional tidal waves of life. You've got kind of an even keel, steady rudder, and this inner compass that says, what am I doing with my life? Ha 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 ha. You can check your compass and go, oh, take a step this way. All right, now what should I do? Ha 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 ha. Oh, this way, take a step. It's just an ease, a peace, a relaxation, a freedom that comes from elevating yourself to that higher level of consciousness. And it's very doable. Ha 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 ha. So, I call it my inner compass. Buddha called it the lamp within. The point is, there is a part of you that already knows everything that you're asking for, everything you want in your life. All the clarity you seek, the truth, the peace, the wisdom, the happiness, the joy, everything's already there. And we have a number of tools, and we all have different tools in our own practice that we use to try to access that voice of clarity. Mine happens to be laughter. There's many others. But I just want to encourage you to keep asking within, keep looking within, keep seeking to pierce through the veil of confusion, doubt, clarity, whatever it is in your own life that's preventing you from living the life that you really want to live. Everything is already within you. And you can find it just one laugh away.